What is the first thing that you're gonna do with that particular athlete, that ninth grader that's just getting into, their season in football, or maybe off season, whatever the case, and you're actually trying to build them up in that quadrennial form?
Yeah, so I'm going to probably go back to it again. We're going to go through all of our basic movement patterns. We won't touch a weight. We won't touch a dumbbell, kettlebell, anything until we master the proper movements.
Mm-hmm.
Once that is done, then we'll start to go through, a movement phase or a strength phase where we're just working on the basics. So, like again, we're going to maybe work on strength in the lower body and do a lot of single leg movements. Right.
Okay.
So we're going to do a lot of unilateral work. So I might just make sure, because especially at that age, a lot of them are going to be unstable. They don't got a lot of balance. They don't got a lot of proprioception. They don't got a lot of awareness. They don't have, the ability to produce any force. So we're going to strengthen up a little bit, but we're going to do it unilaterally, because the problem is a lot of these kids are more dominant on one side than the other. So we might do some Bulgarian split squats. Before we even get to that, we might just do regular split squats. Right, so we might do some slow eccentric split squats, learn how to absorb the force, slowly start to progress our way to heavier weights, then maybe go to Bulgarian, do some step ups, do some lunges, stuff like that. And I'll do that even before I even do a squat. Squat's great, but I just want to make sure that they're balanced first.
Yeah, and I took that actually from Joe DeFranco, and Joe talked about it a lot, where he will do unilateral work in the off season, as opposed to a lot of coaches actually flip that around, and they'll actually do more unilateral work in seasons, because of the load isn't so high, and then the neural fatigue won't be as established. So what he's basically trying to set, and what I do now with the fighters and also with my high school guys, is I'm trying to get them efficient on both sides of the body, right? So we can balance out the body, make sure that they're strong as a whole, and then globally we can put it together when we need to with max force and high velocities. So you're on the right track with that. I just wanted to make sure people knew, how to do it, because there is a lot of things that I see that are wrong in the industry. Not going to call anybody out, but I want to make sure that we're relaying over the proper information for people.
Like in season for my football guys, especially my pro guys, we won't do a lot of unilateral exercises. Now we'll do them, but we won't load them up very heavy, because they're practicing every day. So they'll practice. So my pro guys will practice 3 days a week, and then they'll take a day off, then they'll have their game. So if you're doing unilateral work, right, you're breaking down like the muscles more than if you did it on bilateral work. But you have to go real heavy. But we'll do more joint specific angles. So we won't do a full depth squat. We might do a partial in the rack, right? So there's not as much load on you. So all you gotta do is come up and then maybe come down and then let the rack absorb everything for you. And that's a little bit easier on your body than if I was doing any type of eccentric work or isometric work in season, because it's going to be too detrimental on you, because you're going to go to practice and there's so much stimulus of running, breaking down, that fatigue, that's going to break down your central nervous system. It's going to break down the musculature. And so you're going to be needing recovery. So you don't need to do it all in the weight room. So the off season is when we do more of the, unilateral work. In season, more bilateral work. But we're still doing we'll do a ton with my guys, making sure that the hamstrings are strong, make sure that the ankles are strong. So we'll do a ton of hamstring work in season, but we'll just make sure that it's maybe dosed out through the entire week. Like we might do it right after practice, 2 sets of Nordic curls of 2 sets of 3, right? Making sure that we get one knee dominant, one hip dominant exercise in hamstrings. But that's one thing in football players, if the hamstrings are weak, hamstrings aren't there, right? Then we're going to be looking at maybe some ACL injuries, because attaches back there. Also, if the ankles are weak, calves are weak, especially we need to build a nice lateral calf. That medial calf, like you gotta strengthen up those areas, because those are the areas that they use a lot, right? So you gotta make sure that they're durable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always say, like with my guys, it's like, especially the young kids, you see that their feet are so weak, unless they have like a background in dance or gymnastics. We got to start from the ground up in that way. And for me, we will start with no shoes on, making sure they're working through the base support system. And I'm gaining that strength and stability of the foot, because, again, that's your base of support, right?